Hello everyone and welcome back to Neptune's Child Tarot. Thank you guys all so much for being here, your continued love and support here on the channel. I just wanted to let you all know, in case you did miss the post, readings and services are currently 20% off using the discount code AURA20, AURA, and the number 20. You want to make sure that you put that in your email. You can find in the description box. Just send me an email and then you can include that discount code for your 20% off of readings and services. And that discount code is going to be valid through July 13th. Okay, so you want to take advantage of that while readings are on sale. Even if you don't have like an idea for a reading just yet, I've had some clients that have purchased readings during the sale and then they kind of save them for a later date, which we can do that if you'd like as well. Or you can set a date, and then if you don't have your idea yet, you can push the date out a little bit later until you feel like you're ready with questions or anything that you're wanting to go over. So again, the discount code is AURA20, and that gives you 20% off of readings and services. It's taking off the price that is listed on my menu of services, and that discount code is valid through July 13th. All right, so let's get into today's reading. We're going to be looking at what you need to know right now. So there are 3 crystals out here for you guys to choose from. For group 1, this is an Opalite. Group 2, we've got Chrysacolla. And then group number 3, we have a blue Chalcedony. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So blue Chalcedony for group number 3. If by chance you do feel drawn to more than one of the groups, that is perfectly okay for today's reading. We're asking Spirit again what you need to know right now and see what comes through. If you already feel drawn to a specific crystal, you're more than welcome to skip ahead to the timestamps. It'll take you directly to your reading. So let's get into it. Group number 1 with the Opalite. What do you need to know right now? Group 1. Group 2 with the Chrysacolla. What do you need to know right now? And group number 3 with the blue Chalcedony. That is going to be yours. So let's take a look. Group 1, we have family, roots, bloodline, and togetherness. And that is with this Opalite. Group 2 with the Chrysacolla. We have evolution, transformation, reinvent, and new beginnings. Group 3 with the blue Chalcedony. We have gratitude. It says appreciate, thank you, and also cherish. And that is with the blue Chalcedony. All right, so those are the choices for today. What do you need to know right now? Timestamps will be down below for you all, and I will see you at your reading. Hi, Group 1. So those of you that resonated with the family card and the Opalite, this is going to be a reading today. So we're finding out what you need to know right now, and Spirit is bringing up family. Okay. So we're going to see what this message is about that Spirit wants you to know right now. We're going to start off with the tarot to see what is going on. And then we'll add in some more oracle cards. Now, with the reading topic today, you might see that I use especially if you're going to be going from different groups. You might see that I use different oracle cards for the other groups versus this one here. And it really just kind of depends on what comes through. So group 1 with family. What do you want to say about family for group 1? What do you want to say about family for group number 1? What does group 1 need to know right now about family? 9 of Pentacles. The Magician. The High Priestess. 10 of Cups is family. 8 of Cups. Okay. King of Pentacles. Justice. The Lovers. Okay, this might be, for some of you, a little bit of a difficult message, especially if you do have a little bit of a difficult family situation or relationship with your family members. The Star. And the 8 of Wands. Okay, so we do have Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. And then at the bottom of the deck, we do have the King of Cups. King of Cups and the Page of Pentacles with the Hanged Man. Okay. So a little bit of some different messages for different people. So, you know, take what resonates, what fits. But I do feel like Spirit is kind of stressing the importance of love, compassion, empathy, kindness, gentleness when it comes to maintaining a healthy family relationship. Now, of course, with certain family members, that can prove to be very challenging depending on what kind of dynamic is present. But I feel almost as if some of you may have kind of detached yourself because of certain things that you've experienced perhaps during childhood or teenage years that have made it also difficult for you to connect and bond emotionally perhaps with certain family members because of what has happened in the past. And I feel like Spirit is wanting those of you that resonate with that to kind of move into a space of this King of Cups energy, which is about emotional maturity and emotional balance. It's about keeping your emotions calm. It's also very nurturing, very loving, very sensitive. The King of Cups is a very mature love. It has more to do with agape love, the unconditional love that we feel towards family, right? Because there could be, yes, certain family members that are a little difficult, but we can still hold that love for them or compassion or empathy towards them no matter what has taken place. And I do feel like because we have justice present, there could be certain family members that have done certain things wrong, who have wronged you in certain ways, or that you may have even wronged them. Justice gives us a chance to right our past wrongs, to make amends, to forgive, to also allow ourselves to be part of family. And family, of course, doesn't just have to be, your blood related family members. Sometimes family to us is our friends, our closest friends, or sometimes it's coworkers that we feel really close to. Or family, if you do have a family with someone and you have a partner and you're married or in a long-term relationship and you have children. But this is where I feel like Spirit is wanting you to kind of set the tone for creating more harmony or more balance. So at least that this is coming from your side of things, the energy that you keep and maintain and focus your intention on, in terms of being that person in the family that is compassionate, that is caring, that is sensitive, that is kind, that is generous, that is loving, but also with those boundaries. Now, certainly if there are certain family members that you do have that are not treating you fairly, that are not treating you with respect, we can still be kind. We can still be empathetic towards that person, of understanding that maybe the version of themselves that they are during this lifetime, for those of you that do believe in past lives, there could be a lot of difficult things that they've gone through and the life that they have, and that has shaped them into the person that they've become. But we can choose to be better. We can choose to be a better version of ourselves, and to really work on changing the energy, changing the dynamic into something that is more, I want to say more balanced, more healthy, right? Making the conscious decision to be kind of like inspire change. Where if somebody, like let's just say it's a family member who is reactive, we have a choice, right? We can either kind of lower ourselves to that level and be just as reactive, or we can choose to take the high road, in which we keep our own emotions, we have self-control to keep our own self grounded, stable, secure, and kind of treat others with kindness, even if the energy that they choose to give to us isn't great. That's not to say that we shouldn't speak up and stand up for ourselves, but we can kind of lead by example of what it means to be a family member who can provide support. And we don't always get that, right, from certain family members. But we can choose to kind of lead with the way in which we respond or react to certain situations, to inspire change towards more positive family energy with that. Now, for others of you, I'm seeing another message here about the need for developing a sense of self outside of the family. Now, this could be where family has kind of shaped your choices, your belief systems, or maybe did not provide the opportunity for you to truly get to know yourself on a deeper level. And this is where I feel like Spirit's encouraging you to set out on a path of self-discovery so that you can develop a strong sense of autonomy separate from the family. And that may be something that helps you to go back into the family dynamic feeling much more secure within yourself, so that you are able again to project a very grounded, very secure, very stable, emotionally mature energy, supportive, loving, caring. And that may be something that helps to shift the dynamic between you even and a difficult family member. Okay. Now, of course, sometimes there are certain family situations that we do need to pull away from, to detach from, especially if that family member is someone who's not treating us fairly. There's lying, there's, taking advantage, or different things of that nature, where it may be better for you to kind of disconnect and detach, as a way to kind of have some boundaries there, okay? Because sometimes there are certain family members who are set and stuck in their ways and they don't change. But this is where Spirit is not wanting you to allow what that person is doing or saying to be something that affects how you feel about yourself and how you then kind of project your energy outward into the world. Okay, so I want to look at this Eight of Cups energy. King of Swords. Wow, Queen of Swords. And the Four of Pentacles. Some of you might have some unhealthy habits, patterns, or it could even be a family member who has this pattern. The Four of Pentacles can be about possession and control. And we have both the King and the Queen of Swords here, which have a lot to do with power and authority. So this could even be like an authority figure. Let's just say like a father. The relationship that you have with your father. Where like if the father was controlling or mother was controlling, because the Queen can be maternal energy as well. If that has led you to also kind of picking up certain habits, you know. Now, this can also be for some of you finding your voice, learning to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, with really opening up and being honest about how you feel about them or about even certain dynamics here. So this can also be having a conversation, and sometimes those conversations can be a little challenging, where you kind of really tell a person how you feel. But again, we're handling this from a place of higher consciousness, being direct, being honest, being assertive, but also respectful, right? There's a way of us being able to speak our truth, but also from a very grounded place. So some of you might need to have a conversation like that with a parent, or, you know, with anybody else, a partner even. If you are someone who does have control issues, or there's some kind of power dynamic or power struggle between you and another family member, this can also be about working on that aspect of yourself of the need to release control. Like if we need to control certain things, like if there's someone who's like in the family that feels like they have to direct everything, they have to control everything that happens in the relationship. This can be about some type of compromise between you and another, where we release that need to try to control money or control, you know, something within the relationship, where it would be better serving to be able to communicate. That could even be some of you working on communication. Okay, working on communication. If you're someone who's possessive, you know, that could be working on that aspect of self, understanding it a little deeper. Like, why do we act this way? Why do we react this way? If we've also become very cold, very detached, very guarded, we want to explore that a little bit. Again, because we want to embody that King of Cups energy. So this might mean healing, okay, to help to change the dynamic here. Because if, you know, we come in with a very rigid energy and very cold, very detached, and then we have a family member coming to talk to us, and we might come forward with that kind of Queen of Swords, King of Swords energy, where we're very cold and just detached, without any empathy, without any care, and it might not help really the dynamic between you and another person, right? So in a way, it's kind of like letting the swords down, that guarded energy, and opening up and softening, being more vulnerable, okay? Expressing how you feel. So it may also make the other person feel like, okay, I don't have to be so guarded too, because you know, they're putting their sword down, so to say, and we can have that heart to heart that is more loving, more nurturing to the health of the relationship. Okay, so let's actually look at this High Priestess energy here. The Death card. Yeah, some of you might have, and I don't think this is all of you, but some of you might be very reactive, might be very defensive or even aggressive or confrontational because you're triggered. Okay, or you can have someone who acts that way with you. So instead of, let's just say if somebody's approaching us and they have a little bit of an aggressive energy, they're confrontational, they're defensive, we don't want to respond in that same energy, because we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere like that. So some of you might need to work on transforming that need to be so reactive, you know, to be so impulsive, or to, I mean, even this could even be holding your tongue, right? Not saying certain things, because the Knight of Swords can be very sometimes abrasive. Sometimes there are certain things that we just kind of blurt out and say things, and we don't think about how those words could hurt another person, or even the actions that we might take, right? So there's a need for us to really kind of take time to reflect upon what it is that we want to say, what the point is, or to kind of get clear on how we can deliver that message from a better space versus that reactive place or confrontational place, where if somebody triggers us, we just might automatically just lash out or say something that we don't mean, or something that's not very kind, and that's not really going to help the situation. So this is really just about a message here, I feel like, from Spirit, about nurturing your relationships that you have with others, with family members, and to take some time to think about how we're speaking, how we're acting. Yeah. So Page of Cups. I mean, we might even need to apologize, right? I'm sorry I said that, or I'm sorry I came off that way. And take more time to reflect upon what it is that we want to say before we just kind of say something and we end up hurting someone's feelings, or vice versa. You know, if we're dealing with a person, a parent, or another family member, partner, who is really immature, and they're the one who kind of responds in a very emotionally immature way and is abrasive and just kind of says things that are very hurtful. So, you know, like I said, for some of you, this could be about choosing not to feed into that energy, but more so about you finding your voice, being more assertive. And sometimes there are certain family members that could be a little intimidating for you to be able to speak your truth to, especially if it's like a parent, like a father, sometimes a mother, or even trying to approach them and tell them how you feel can be a little scary. It can be challenging. And so again, this is where I feel like Spirit's saying we're going to take some time to think about what it is that we want to say, but to also come from a place of emotional balance where we can be very clear, very direct, very assertive, but we're also doing so in a very loving, nurturing way that's going to be conducive to, you know, maintaining a healthy family dynamic between people. So some of you, like I said, it may just be about changing your tone, right? Changing the tone of your voice, how we say something, be nice, right? Be nice. I'm seeing the Queen of Cups here at the bottom of the deck. So, and then the Three of Cups. Three of Cups is also about going out, having fun, socializing, bonding, having fun with each other. The Queen of Cups is also a very nurturing energy, very sensitive. So we could be being empathetic towards another person, hearing them out, listening to what they have to say. And then also making, you know, for those of you that are interested in healing your family, right? This could be doing things that will help to promote more togetherness, spending more time with each other, doing fun things together. but also maintaining a sense of self and separateness from the family unit, I feel like is going to be important. So developing your own identity apart from, you know, some of you could be in situations where you had family that says that this is what you need to do for a living. This is the job that you should go for. This is where you should live. And you don't feel like you have a sense of self. Okay? So that is going to be you, again, maybe setting some boundaries here. Being, of course, very respectful, but honest. And not being afraid of allowing yourself to be separate from the family unit. Okay? Or even a partner. Where you have that sense of autonomy, I feel like is important to the health of a relationship. Even for those of you where you're in a relationship with another person and it's a romantic relationship or you're married, for you to not lose yourself in it. Okay? Not lose yourself. Express yourself, because the Page of Cups energy is also a very creative energy. So this can be exploring your creativity or, you know, having your own values, having your own morals, having your own belief systems, even if they are different, right, than maybe what family thinks or feels. But it's important for your own well-being, right, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, for you to have that sense of self, you know, to speak up for yourself, I feel like, in some way. All right, so let's see if there's any other messages for you, group 1. Waterproof. Yeah. So some of you, there could be certain things that, you know, people say. Everyone with family especially is going to have their own opinions, their own judgments. But this is also about you not letting that affect you. Okay. Understanding that sometimes there are certain family members that act a certain way, say certain things, and to just kind of let it roll off in the same way that that little crow there has all that water that's beaded up on its feathers, where the water isn't really going in, right? So we can kind of see this as symbolic of, you know, not letting your emotions, because sometimes, right, family can say things that are hurtful. And this is about us not allowing that to affect how we feel about self, right? Because there is going to be certain family members who project certain things onto you, who say certain things that are not very nice, or even do certain things. And we have to just kind of become waterproof, right? Not that you're just so detached and so far removed from your emotions, but it's kind of observing, right, that person's behavior, observing their actions, their words, and also understanding maybe they are someone who is not as emotionally intelligent as you, or vice versa. Understanding that they could be someone who doesn't have the best way. Now that certainly doesn't excuse, right, certain things, but we can be, again, more compassionate, understanding that they may not necessarily have the capability to interact with us in the same way that we may have grown and evolved as a person. So again, we can hold empathy, we can see them and, you know, be empathetic towards them and still loving, still nurturing, but just saying, okay, you know, maybe releasing expectations around, oh, you know, we wish that a certain family member would act this way or that way, and understanding that that is inner work that they need to do on themselves. And sometimes that might mean walking away, detaching, setting some boundaries there, and, you know, maybe even letting that person know, hey, you know, when you say this or that, you know, I don't appreciate that, or that was mean, that was hurtful, but then still keeping our way about us where we can have still that strong sense of self and not letting what another person says, does, thinks to be something that affects us. So we have insight here. And community. Yeah. And I feel like with this community energy, this is more about working with family members, right? Collaborating with others. What does this insight here have to do with? Six of Wands in reverse. Okay. Some of you, there could be some attention-seeking behavior. Okay. Or it could be a person, a family member who acts out. They could be an attention-seeking family member. They could be someone who likes drama. Somebody who makes you feel undervalued, underappreciated, or even, you know, there could be certain things that we are doing that make another person feel undervalued, unseen, and underappreciated. So we want to kind of take some time to look at what kind of energy are we bringing into the family dynamic? Okay. And are we trying to seek validation, approval from certain family members? Some of you might need to be healing a wound surrounding that. Page of Wands. Especially when it comes to your creative endeavors. Like some of you with this Page of Wands energy is all about exploring. It's all about self-discovery, trying new things, doing new things. And sometimes when we want to venture out and try new things, and we're going to sit down and tell family, oh, I'm going to be taking this class, or I'm going to be doing this. And the family's like, what? Why? You're into that kind of stuff? Why would you do that? Where it just kind of, so this is about you feeling, knowing you do not need approval to be yourself. You do not need to apologize for being yourself. You do not need to apologize for being interested in the things that you're interested in, and for being unique and for being different, right? If the family cannot accept it and love you, right, just as you are, then again, this is where we can say, okay, you know, I understand this person is stuck or set in a certain way of thinking, and I don't identify with that. I don't believe that. And this is you still continuing to do you, to pursue your passions and not let what a family member, their judgments, their criticisms, to be something that dictates how you show up for yourself, the things that you want to pursue. You know, maybe this is not telling them everything, not disclosing all of the information if they're not open to it. So we start not, you know, maybe changing who we invest time and energy to, because there could be, right, certain family members that you want to share all your stuff with, and they might not be as accepting. They might not be as open to it, and that's okay, right? You're different, unique. So for some of you wanting to explore a little bit more creatively, and don't let what other people are going to say to limit you from that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, Group 1. I do hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next reading. Hi, Group 2. So those of you that resonated with the Evolution card and the Chrysacolla, this is going to be your reading today. So we're asking Spirit what you need to know right now. Now, with this reading, I've already told Group 1, but I might use different oracle cards for your group versus what I use for the other ones. It really depends on how the energy comes through and what oracle decks might be appropriate for this message. But we're talking about evolution, transformation, reinventing yourself, new beginnings. So let's see. What do you need to know right now about evolution? Maybe some of you are on a path of reinventing yourself and transforming and evolving into a better version of self. What do you need to know right now about evolution, Group 2? Two of Cups. Queen of Swords. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Six of Pentacles. What do you need to know about evolution? Death, Scorpio energy. Ace of Swords. The Chariot, the Two of Wands. I feel like this message here is about you coming into alignment with your higher self. We do have both the King and the Queen of Swords present. The Two of Cups is here, which is also a card about balance and harmony. I'm kind of seeing this as the connection between you and your highest version of self. This is an evolution, I feel like, that is taking place within your mind. The way that you speak, the way that you think, the way that you act, your ideas, your vision, getting clear on them. For some of you, you are being prompted towards some type of change. The Death card is here, which is about endings. It's about changing something, letting go of things, people, situations, ways of thinking, anything that is no longer serving. The Chariot energy is about moving forward. It's about making steady progress. And the Two of Wands is about choosing your path, choosing a direction. Some of you might be overthinking where you're being guided, meaning that we're getting in our own way. Okay, overthinking things, overanalyzing, worrying, stressing, versus taking decisive action and moving forward. But I am feeling like this is where Spirit is kind of guiding you towards making a choice, moving forward with it. Okay, let's see what else. Wheel of Fortune. Yep. So there's definitely change. So this could be you moving out of a space of stagnancy, in indecisiveness. I feel like this change here is a need for going with the flow. It's a need for calming your emotions, because we could be, of course, getting into our head a little bit. Using your intuition with where you're being guided. The Wheel of Fortune is about change, but it's change in a positive direction to bring in more opportunities, more abundance, good luck, blessings, positive changes into our life. And I feel like that's where Spirit's trying to help to guide you. It's going to help you to open up and to receive. Like the universe is trying to give to you, but we have to align with it. The Chariot is about balancing two opposing forces of energy. Okay. So if we've got our mind in one place, thinking one thing, and then we've got our other thoughts that are kind of headed in a different direction, that energy is unbalanced, right? We're not going to be able to move forward with that. So this is about balance here. This is a need for you to align with your higher self, building that connection with your intuition so that you are able to receive the messages from your higher self, your angels, your spirit team, the universe, and you're able to trust where you're being guided. You're trusting the feelings, right, that you have, the feeling from your intuition, but also inserting logic into it. Okay, because this is helping you to evolve into a space of higher consciousness. Transforming the thoughts, no longer letting the thoughts control you and dictate your actions. It's more or less about you having power over it, power over the mind in the negative thinking, the self-limiting beliefs, the overthinking, the fear, all of that, and just pushing through it, right? Because that's you evolving there from that Queen energy into the King. The Ace of Swords is about clarity. It's about having an epiphany, a realization, some type of breakthrough that's happening here for you. All right, so with the Hangman, this is a change of perspective. It can also be moving, like I said, out of a place of stagnancy, indecision, non-action, into action mode. So let's look at this Ace of Swords. There's the Two of Swords. So that's the energy that I was kind of describing here. When we're in two minds about something, the Two of Swords can be confusion, indecision, conflicting thoughts or ideas. And when we're feeling confused, we get stuck and we don't do anything, right? We don't make a move. So the Two of Swords is a need for us to find balance in the mind, right? And we've got that balance here with the Queen and King of Swords. So let's see what else. The Knight of Swords. It's a very focused energy. For some of you, this might even be about going to school, taking a class, or those of you that have also have a lot of knowledge or wisdom to share. This can even be you stepping into a higher level position of teaching, sharing information in some way. Okay. If you're at a job, okay, because that Hierophant can also symbolize like an institution, maybe a place that you work at, a corporation. If you're at a place in which you feel that place is not giving to you the opportunities, you're not moving, your career has gotten stagnant, this can be about you making change, right? Focusing on finding another job, or maybe for some of you, changing career paths altogether. So this is about your continued growth, is where Spirit is trying to help you to continue to make steady progress by building that momentum that's leading you towards success when it comes to your career path, or again, personal evolution, transforming the way that you think, speak, act, your ideas, being more clear. Why is the Hanged Man here? Four of Swords, the Five of Pentacles, and also the Page of Cups. Yeah, some of you might have like some dreams, a dream that you wish to fulfill. But we could be coming from a place of lack mentality, or feeling like we don't have the resources, and Spirit is trying to give you the resources here, but we've got to get things moving. We got to set forth the intention, the focused intention, and the action that is required to kind of get things moving, get things going, right? So even if we decide that in our mind, right, and we have the intention, okay, I'm going to do this, or this is my plan, this is my dream, we have to start taking action towards that to get things moving, right? Because if we're just thinking about the dream and not really putting the action behind it, nothing's going to change, right? And sometimes that might be changing the way in which we think, because when we're in that Five of Pentacles energy, we're in a place of despair. We feel like we don't have what we need. We feel like we have no resources. But in this Five of Pentacles card, these two people are out in the cold, right? Needing shelter, needing warmth, needing food, whatever it might be. But the Five of Pentacles back there, that's a church, right? So there is help. This is basically Spirit's way of telling us, don't, stay in that energy of feeling that we're helpless, that we're beyond help, that there's nothing that we can do to change our situation. We're not helpless. We absolutely can open ourselves up to receiving the ways in which these blessings or opportunities could come into our life by taking the initiative, by having a focused energy, by, maybe for some of you doing some research, talking to someone who could provide insight or guidance or mentoring, that will provide the resources, that will provide the information that you need so that you can make that dream happen. Let's see. I want to see this Two of Wands here. The Queen of Wands, the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles can be about priorities, about weighing your options, making choices, also change. Three of Pentacles in reverse. Some of you, this might be moving forward with entrepreneurship, Okay, those of you that have ideas of wanting to open your own business, this could be even working around being more consistent, being more committed to that path. For some of you, this might be about pursuing your passions. It could be about being more confident in yourself to pursue those passions. Yeah, the Queen of Wands is a very driven energy. It's feeling very confident in yourself, believing in yourself. Okay. And sometimes it requires us to do a little bit of work, right? To build up our self-esteem and our confidence within ourselves to know that we are worthy of the abundance that we seek, or the moving the career into a higher level. Like if we're going from one position to a higher level position, that you can make that change happen, right? It just requires us to put forth the action, the intention, and the energy behind making that change happen within our life. Okay. And sometimes it does require a lot of willpower on our side to just, push forward with something. I'm seeing the Five of Swords energy here, the Knight of Cups. So also working on any type of self-sabotaging thoughts. Okay. Or let's just say if we tried one thing and that didn't work out, or we just give up and we say, okay, I guess I'm not meant to do this, or I'm not meant to do that, or it's just not going to happen for me. And we just kind of go into that self-sabotage mode and, don't open ourselves up to other opportunities. So certainly working on changing the belief systems that we have. Also changing the attitude, okay? For some of you, that Five of Swords might be that we feel like we're being bullied. We feel like, maybe some of you are in a work environment where it's just toxic, but sometimes we might be internalizing that rejection. Like if one door closes and we're just like, oh, it's because, they don't like me, or they this, or they that, where we just kind of start feeling like more victim mentality of, kind of projecting our own insecurities onto another person, right? So we also want to kind of change out of that. That, if for those of you that might resonate with that, like the victim mentality, we feel like we're being, deceived, or something of that nature. Like let's just say that you're going to, I don't know, use the example of you're applying for a position at work or at this new company, and the person who's a boss, who's doing the interview, and maybe there's a personality conflict there, or we're feeling a little bit insecure because of maybe the questions that they're kind of asking. And so we start internalizing maybe the way that interview went, and we start saying, oh, it's because they didn't like me, or they didn't like this, or they chose that other person because that other person brought them in, I don't know, cookies to the interview. So it's just kind of like we need to move away from that way of thinking, the negative thinking. The Five of Swords can be a card about bullying, about being defensive, about being confrontational, or even us putting out a negative energy, towards others. So if you're someone who has maybe not the best attitude, if you're someone who's very reactive or defensive or confrontational, a person who puts others down, who belittles in that way, then this could be changing that part of ourselves, being nicer, being kinder in the way that we speak and communicate with others, or even being kinder to ourselves, because this can also be our inner voice that's mean to us, that tells us you're not good enough, or you're gonna fail, or you're not good at that. Stop now. All those negative things that kind of come in. So this could be about you being more kind and more loving to yourself, knowing that you do deserve the success that you want, the desires, the dreams, It's just more or less about you kind of telling that negative voice inside your mind to quiet down. That you're on a mission here, you're not going to give up. This is what you want, and you're going to go after it. Okay? That is you evolving. So, or even like if there's other people, right, surrounding you who are very negative and who put you down, or they judge, or they criticize, or, something of that nature. It's you not letting the judgments or opinions, or even the fear of judgment and criticism, to let that be something that stops you, especially if you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and you're just like, oh, well, what if nobody likes me? What if nobody likes what I do? What if nobody likes what I have to say? And you just keep with the negativity, right? That being something that kind of blocks you from fulfilling a dream, a desire that you have. So again, quieting that inner voice. And also for some of you, learning how to build relationships with people. Okay, the Three of Pentacles is a card of collaboration, but when we're in that Three of Pentacles reverse energy, we're not really putting ourselves out there. We're not interacting with others. We're not meeting people. We're not networking with people. And that may also be something that you need to be more confident in, is building relationships that could be very helpful for your continued growth and success on your path. Okay, so learning how to talk to people, finding your voice, being more confident in using your voice and your voice being heard, and sharing your story or what it is that you want to share. Maybe for some of you, it's creative. Some of you could be writing or speaking or teaching, or, in some way. Especially with the Hierophant being there. And some of you, it might be a spiritual path, spiritual work that you want to do, and wanting to open your own business. And even that can be a little bit intimidating, because we are, right, putting yourself out there for public, for all to see. But you've got to kind of, again, quiet that noise and not let what other people think or say to get to you, especially for those of you that are watching this and you want to do YouTube, no matter where you are, if you're going to be working in social media, there's always going to be someone that has a nasty attitude that's just going to, be mean and say things like that. But you've got to develop some thick skin. I know I have had to over the last 6 years, 6 years of doing YouTube, where it just it doesn't even faze me anymore. I just ignore it. I sometimes don't even go into the comments, very rarely, to kind of see some of the messages that you leave that are very positive and very beautiful. But there's always just that one person and I feel like that says more about them, right? Where they project their own insecurities and things like that, and they put it out there for the world, if it makes them feel better about themselves, to pick on other people. So we have nature here. Just handle it with grace. Nature. Maybe for some of you, if you are feeling a little bit stuck and a little bit confused over which path to choose, which direction, we do have self-interest here. So maybe spending some time in nature. Okay, going out for the weekend, going to the mountains, the forest, a lake, a river, spending more time outdoors so you feel more grounded, you get the clarity. We have upheaval here, and then we have abundance. So some of you, this could be uprooting. This could be changing where you live. It could be moving out, maybe of a living situation. All those nests are being uprooted there. So maybe for some of you, like I said, it could be a big change where you move to a new location. You move with the abundance being here. Maybe it's places where especially for those of you that are entrepreneurs, what are you interested in, and what kind of community would you need to move to in order to achieve the level of abundance that you want, or what kind of clientele, right, are we going to be trying to attract here? We want to put ourselves right in the best place where we're going to have those opportunities for that growth And sometimes that means moving out of state, moving out of the country, moving overseas, in order to support what those dreams are, right? Like we wouldn't necessarily move to a place, let's say, that has no real, let's just say we're going to do spiritual work and we're currently living in a place that doesn't really value that, right? There's not really a need in that area, or people are just not, they're opposed to it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. So that environment may not necessarily support that. So let's go find some places that could be more supportive of what you're trying to build or how you're choosing to move your career forward. What environment is going to support that? What kind of people and connections do we need to make so that we're able to give ourselves the best chance? Sometimes we're in certain situations or at certain jobs that don't support that growth. And so this is about being open to change and evolving versus staying stagnant and stuck and not able to grow. And sometimes that does mean big change. And we have to get comfortable with that, knowing that change is inevitable. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave this here for you, group 2. I do hope this was helpful for you guys. Actually, did I want to use something else? Yeah, let's actually, I think I want to use some more of these. Anything else for group 2? We have gossip, rumors, speculation, slander, worth. So this is exactly what I was talking about. By chance, for those of you that are in toxic work environments and people are rude, they've got bad attitudes, whether it's coworkers, a boss, family, okay? This is about you not letting, again, what other people say to have any weight with what your worth is, what your value is, or even what it is that you're choosing to offer. Let's just say if you're going to be opening a business and offering a service. Don't worry about that. Okay? No matter what you're doing in life, there's always going to be someone who's going to be bent out of shape because of you speaking your truth or being you. And if that bothers another person, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Okay? Not a you problem, that's a them. All right, so I'm going to leave it here and I'm going to move on to group 3. Hi, group 3. So those of you that resonated with the blue Chalcedony and the gratitude card, this is going to be your reading today. So we're finding out what you need to know right now. I may use different oracle cards for your group depending on how the messages come through today. So let's ask Spirit what you need to know right now about gratitude. What do you need to know about gratitude, group 3? The Devil. Nine of Wands in reverse. The Wheel of Fortune. Three of Cups and the Ten of Swords. Okay. Justice. Seven of Swords in reverse. The Hermit. Okay. This kind of feels like there's a situation that you may have gone through with someone where there was some kind of betrayal, deception, lies, deceit, emotional manipulation that may have really hurt you. But, and of course, this takes time through healing and through changing our perspective about a person and about a situation that we have gone through. Because we will certainly grow and evolve and become very wise. The Hermit is here, which is a very wise energy. And so there could be certain situations or a situation that you've gone through that was very challenging. And when we're going through it and we're dealing with the effects of a situation kind of playing out, it can be really hard. It can be very painful. However, there's been something that has been revealed to you about a person. Now, for some of you, it could be a friend. Some of you, it could be surrounding maybe even like a relationship, third-party situation. But let's finish pulling these cards out here. Nine of Pentacles. The Two of Wands. I feel like this being revealed to you about this person so that you're able to see them clearly. Like I said, although going through it may not be the most exciting experience, it could be very challenging, very painful, even very traumatic. But it is in the way we're choosing to look at the situation that makes all the difference. And like I said, getting to that point may be a little bit of a process. But once you're on the other side of it, okay, and you've taken some time to reflect and to heal and to think about what we've learned from that experience, this is where we can move into a space of gratitude. Because even though it could be a challenging situation that we've had to overcome with a person or a group of people, that we can have gratitude for it. And like I said, it's not easy. It's not easy. I had a person that, actually a lot of people in my life, close friends, past romantic partner, where the experience of betrayal was really awful. And when I was going through it, I had a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards the friends, towards the partner. And it was painful. And I felt very hurt. And it took time for me to change the way in which I looked at those experiences, because those experiences brought me into a really low place. And the growth that I had from going through it is something that I now look back on it, and I know that although those situations were traumatic during the time, that they've also helped me to be the person that I am today, which is a lot stronger, a lot wiser. Certainly it doesn't take the insecurities away, the fears away. That's the work in progress that you do, right? As you continue to evolve and grow. But we can certainly hold gratitude for those experiences. And sometimes this betrayal is something that's revealed, or this deception, lies, whatever it is that's come to light, is something that is revealed to you for your highest good. In a way, it can help us to escape a lot longer of a time where we are being put through something where maybe we didn't see it. And even though it's painful that is revealed to us, the Justice card is about your highest good. It's also about karmic justice, karmic balance. So the universe doesn't miss a thing, right? When someone has some kind of action or intention that is manipulative or controlling or toxic in nature, or there's deception or betrayal, the universe will sometimes intervene and take care of it and handle it right then and there. And that might mean that we are in a situation where something is revealed to us that might not be pleasant, right? But it's also helping us to free ourselves from whatever that situation is, where we can make a different choice moving forward, choose a different path. It may even be about a past relationship. I'm seeing the 10 of Pentacles here in reverse. So this might even be tied into family. Okay, growing up in a difficult or even dysfunctional family, or even going through a divorce and going through a very challenging ending of a relationship or a friendship, or, you know, something like that, where it's just, you know, really takes us aback. And understanding that we're being diverted, we're being moved, right, and shifted into a different direction. But we certainly learn, right, from that experience. There's a lot for us to gain from those experiences. So I do feel like Spirit is encouraging you, for those of you that are still healing from deception, from betrayal, from someone who has wronged you, or even if we've done that, right, to another person, where we've made a mistake and we've lied to another person, or we've been deceitful or betrayed in some way, that we can hold gratitude for that experience, because we do learn from it, you know. And it may, like I said, it might be painful during the experience of going through it. But I'm seeing the Queen of Swords energy here, and the 7 of Wands, and the 3 of Swords, and the 10 of Wands. So for some of you, this is really learning about boundaries, right? You could be like, okay, well, that person was super toxic, or they lied, or they betrayed, or they deceived in some way, or they tried to be sneaky and get away with something. But when that deception is revealed to you, you know, it can teach us a lot about learning how to read people as well, because the devil is an illusion. It can be a person who is manipulative and who might make you think that they're one way when they're really not. It shows you what their true intentions are. And so we can then be better about how we choose to protect ourselves, how we choose to set boundaries, how we choose to speak up and stand up for ourselves, learn to be more assertive, learn to not back down from what we believe is fair and respectful and just. And so we might be a better version of ourselves because of what we've gone through, right? Should we choose to do the inner work. And, you know, that pain can certainly teach us a lot. You know, it can be stressful, it can be overwhelming, but, you know, being able to let go of it and to come out the other side, this 9 of Pentacles is about a strong sense of self, a strong sense of identity, feeling more secure within the self. So it could be something that really teaches you a lot about your self-worth, a lot about boundaries, a lot about honesty, about doing the right thing, you know, speaking your truth, about being treated fairly. Like if we've done something wrong, we can say, okay, I've learned from that and I'm grateful for the experience. Maybe we lose a friend because we weren't honest, but we can appreciate the time, right, that we've had with that person, and value both the positives and the negatives from that experience, because they have helped to shape us into a better version of ourselves. So I feel like take some time, right, to maybe review maybe certain connections that you have that stick out in your mind, that we can shift into an energy of gratitude for them, even though they're painful, that we can understand that they've made us a better version of ourselves. And I certainly feel that way. I didn't at the time when I was going through it with all those people, but now, years later, an older version of myself, certainly more wise, I feel like a lot of those connections that I had in the past taught me a lot about myself, a lot about me building up my own self-esteem, my own self-confidence, and to also find my voice. So for that, I am grateful that even though those situations were challenging and they were painful going through it, that they taught me how to be better discerning. They taught me how to find my voice, how to stand up for myself, how to speak my truth. So there's different ways in which we can perceive these past situations that may have been unpleasant, and to choose to take a different perspective on them so that we are able to let go, we're able to forgive ourselves, forgive others, and become wiser because of it. So I feel like that's the message here for you, group 3, is to take some time to also recognize who was there for you, right, during those difficult times. Who was supportive? Who showed up for you? And if the answer is no one, right, that no one was there for you when you were going through that difficult time, then this is really showing to you what a person's true colors are. And for that, we can be grateful, right? Especially if we're the person who, in that friendship or that relationship, who showed up for others, but then others didn't show up for us. It teaches you to learn to be more discerning with how you choose your friends moving forward. And for that, we can be grateful. That we can appreciate, like, wow, now I know what to look for. Now I know what the red flags are. Now I know how to allow and entertain better quality relationships, better quality friendships. So we learn a lot. There's a lot to take away from that. Okay. All right. So let's pull some more oracle here. And I know sometimes, you know, because I went through it too, where like certain people would tell me in my past, oh, you need to forgive that person. You need to let go of your resentment. And I was like, no, I can't stand that person, or saying a lot of, calling them a bunch of names. But it was like, it was only hurting me. It was only me who was carrying, you know, a lot of that negative energy of resentment. And I needed to let it go. You know, and I see it sometimes in the comments too, where people are still angry and still, you know, just blaming, and, you know, but we can, again, learn to make different choices, because of course there's always red flags that are there, right? There's always those red flags, and sometimes we overlook them and we're like, no, they're just having a bad day. We make excuses for them or things of that nature. But justice is about the laws of karma. It's about cause and effect. Sometimes we do make a certain choice and it may not be the best one for us, and we get ourselves involved in a situation making certain choices, and we end up having to deal with the consequences of our actions. We end up getting hurt. Okay? Or like for me with the past partner, that I knew that they were lying. I knew that they were cheating. I knew, but I kept myself in it. I knew it. But I went ahead with it anyways, and I kept going because I loved that person, and it ended up really hurting me in the end. But that was my choice. That was my choice. And now I know I'll never do that again, you know? We have terrific, fantastic result, greatness, and great moments. Yeah, so this may also be a time for holding gratitude, also for the people, like I said, that are positive, that are supportive. Like if, let's just say if we don't have a family that is supportive and loving, but we've got coworkers, we've got friends who are amazing, right? Let's hold gratitude and appreciate those people for being the positive, inspirational, supportive energy that was there for you during a difficult time, or, you know, anybody that you might have in your life that's there to kind of uplift your spirits. Okay. Yeah, we've got a feud here. Natural enemy. I'm going to have to cover some of this up. So it's a snake. There's a snake on this card, and it says a feud, a natural enemy, and a threat, right? So somebody who maybe did not have the best intentions, somebody who did not, wasn't healthy, right? Not healthy for you. And maybe this person is someone who got removed out of your life, and we can be grateful that we're no longer having to deal with that person, no longer having to be put through a situation like that. We've also got the sunset here with decline, fade, and also aging. And I feel like this has more to do with knowing that if a person has been removed out of your life, or if their true colors were revealed to you, that we can, by us working through it, we can start to lessen the anger, the resentment, because we're working through the pain and what that pain has taught us, right? So the fears, the insecurities, or whatever it may be that we may have developed because of dealing with that situation, when we can shift into a space of very connected into our heart space with, you know, like Spirit is saying here, the thank you, the appreciate, and the cherish. And sometimes, like I said, some of those situations we go through can be pretty wicked, and being grateful is the last thing, the last thing that's on our mind. However, when we can really kind of sit and reflect, you know, there's a lot of wisdom to be gained, especially with the most difficult, challenging situations, where we can have the most profound growth. If we choose to, we can choose to grow and evolve and become a better version of ourselves. And I often find that the people who are the most challenged in life, who have some very difficult stories, versus the people who it kind of seems like everything's perfect in their life, they don't really have that same growth that the people do that go through the difficult things. The level of growth and leveling up is far more evident when you can see, or even when you listen to a person's story, right? A stranger that you meet on the street, and it's just like you're talking to them and they're telling you about all these things that they've gone through, and you're like, oh my goodness, like you went through all of that. And then how they're choosing to be in life, grateful and blessed. And it kind of makes you look at your own life and what we have to be grateful for, right? And to think about those things versus the negatives. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave this here for you. Group number 3. I do hope this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one.